It's time for the type of energy only Darren McCarty and Neil Rule can give. It's time for Big D Energy, live on Woodward Sports. Join four-time Stanley Cup champion and legendary badass Darren McCarty and the golden voice of Neil Rule, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., as they give their takes on all things Detroit sports. The number one midday show in Detroit is on. Welcome to Big D Energy.
All right, listen. Sean Baligian in for Neil Rule, four-time Stanley Cup champion.
Big D!
McCarty right there. It is Big D Energy. Enough with the pleasantries. I know you guys all want to talk about it. A lot of people are pissed off today. Let's try to talk each other off the ledge, or maybe even further on the ledge, Mac. I think, this is just my opinion, I think where we're at right now with this baseball team, all right, is I think fans are tired of being a year away from being a year away. Doesn't it seem like the Tigers have been stuck in this rut for literally 9 years, 8 years of we're just a year away from being a year away? Yesterday didn't move the needle too much. That's just reality. We'll talk about what they got in return, and I'm going to tell you point blank, I don't know a damn thing about any of these guys other than what I read. And I'm not going to pretend. I know that everybody's a prospect expert now. Respect to that. But at the end of the day, Mac, I think there's just a level of frustration with this Tiger team, again, perpetually being in a state of we're a year away from a year away.
Yeah, but if you go back, right, to the ineptitude, but I don't. I go back, okay, Scott Harris is new. I mean, it's sort of there's other things to worry about, right? I'm more focused on what the Red Wings are doing, and obviously excitement now. It's training camp for the Lions, so I think for me, and you know this, we've been friends a long time. Baseball is my number one love. Tigers are my number one love, even before the Red Wings growing up. I'm in this place of wait and see. I have a feeling that like this can be different, because I want to see what Scott Harris does. I'm excited. I mean, I would have been, if they would have dealt Tarek Skubal and they got a great return, I would understand that direction. But, I mean, I got a Tarek Skubal jersey, so the fact of what we're watching and Cy Young loading every time out guy. So I'm not that way. And I think why that is, because Bally's ruined it earlier this year. You know, the fact the Bally's Comcast deal when it wasn't on TV, and if they're not going to make the effort to allow me to watch it, then I'd have to go out of my way, and they haven't produced that product. So I think it's more of a wait and see, just like it is with all these prospects, whether we've drafted them, whether they're coming up, whoever it is. Like you said, what we've heard, that's all it is. So, I mean, I'm just like, what's the word where you're neither for or against? You're just sort of waiting in the middle.
Yeah.
So like
you're in purgatory.
They're sort of on brand. What's that?
You're in purgatory.
I am purgatory, but I've been this way for a while. But I still tune in. I want to see. Okay, Colt Keith. Yeah, he. I like what he's done. I like what some of the pitches done. But it's not must see TV like it usually is in Tigers season. Even back in the day when they were in that.
I think you hit the nail on top of the head in this regard. And I know people don't want to hear this, okay? But this is the fair thing to do, okay? There is the previous disaster, which whether you guys want to admit it or not, way too many people out there said, you're dumb if you called out the Verlander trade. You're dumb if you called out this move, that move, whatever the case may be. And then there's Scott Harris. And Scott Harris cannot and should not be hung for everything that ails the Tigers. Sorry, he shouldn't. And I know some people are going to say, well, why are you sticking up for Scott Harris? Okay, time out. Just take a deep breath for a second and hear me out, okay? Yes, we can talk about, was the return on Flaherty less than it should have been? We can have those conversations. We can talk about Erod last year. We can talk about the disaster that was Kenta's contract, and not just the contract itself, but the 2 years. Yes, but I think, Mac, what you just said, hits the nail on top of the head. There's the previous disaster, and then there's that which Scott Harris has wrought. And I'll be the first guy to say it. Is there a lot to say, whoa, Scott Harris gets it? No, there isn't, okay? But at the same time, if we're going to apply that logic, we can't hang him on everything that ails the Detroit Tigers. Mac, the last thing in the world that people want to hear around here is the P word. Patience. I get it. Nobody wants to hear patience anymore.
Playoffs.
No.
We're talking about playoffs?
No. I mean, playoffs in the South. Thank God we got the Lions.
Nobody wants to hear patience. But when you consider what you just said, what he took over and what he has to do, we have no choice but to be patient. Well, that's just the reality of the situation.
I see more comparatives to what Stevie came into. And here's also the thing is, like, I still think there's some sort of handcuffs on spending money for Scott Harris. So he's doing right. And here's, like, for Let's Go Red Wings Sparty, how many years are we as fans expected to be satisfied with signing middling free agents for a year, then flip them for middling prospects at the deadline and not spending league average? You don't know. You don't have to be. But it's just where we are, and it's sort of like you said, purgatory is a great place to wait and see what happens. Does that change the fact that it's still a nice night down at the ballpark? Take the family and stuff like that once in a year? Is there a couple guys that you could say, oh, okay, I'm going to watch, Riley Green and Scooble, they made the All-Star team, stuff like this. Oh, we got young guys. It's just sort of, there's so much other things to do. I'd rather take my energy, and I think that's what it is. Tigers, you don't deserve my energy. I'm not giving you my energy until I see that. Scott Harris, good luck, what you're doing. I'm going to go focus in on the Red Wings coming up to training camp in about a month or so. Getting ready for that. Lions are kicking off, but there's way more things. College football's around the corner, like there's way more things to get excited about. And you know what? Just sort of put them in the corner.
It's amazing because I know you always use the analogy of where is a team at, like on I-75, okay?
Yeah.
But to me, what I'm hearing when you say that, and I'm not saying you're wrong, what I'm hearing when you say that is we're not too far away from the exit of that dreaded city called apathy. That there are a lot of people out there that just go, I'm just not going to let you bother me anymore.
You know what? Like, and the apathy is, like, if there's such a thing as positive apathy, because I think it's going to get better before it gets worse. Mm-hmm. Where if you had Al Avila in there, and I just thought it would just get darker and darker. I see Scott Harris trying, but it's almost like he's digging out of this hole with not a pitchfork or a machine. He's got a hand tool, right? That he's got to do with whatever else. So I don't mind this, the long play in this. As Neil always says, whatever prospects you have, you have two big ones in Torque and Green, or one of them's going to hit, one of them's going to miss, more times than not. So if you have more of them and you're getting pitching guys, and now you're getting, again, and I know it's what have we heard, but you're getting catchers and first basemen. We don't have a power hitting first baseman like the rest of the league does and stuff like this. So I guess it's positive apathy. If there's ever a case, like I don't feel hopeless like I have in the past. And we've been here for, like you said, 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah. So what do we know about these guys? Like seriously. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know these guys. We were joking before the show. I've called a lot of hockey games over the years at the junior level. And so I can sit back and somebody says, hey, tell me about this Spencer Raxter guy.
Yeah.
Well, I saw Spencer play. Multiple times because he plays in the Sioux. I can tell you, what I saw out of his game. Okay,
he would have played in the Sioux.
Yeah, I could see him as a greyhound.
Dude, you would have been a greyhound.
His flow would have come down about 3 or 4 more inches as well. But like all jokes aside, I don't know the first thing about any of these cats.
Yeah.
Other than what I read, I just don't. And I know that everybody's an expert now. I get it, but Mac, there's a big difference between what we see in the numbers and what you see when you watch a guy play. Sometimes there are things that you can't quantify. So what do we know about these guys?
Yeah,
I know that Go ahead.
I was just going to say the best return you got, the best prospect you got was Lorenzo. He's immediately the 5th prospect in your system. He's a power hitting first baseman catcher. It was nice to see in his first year in Single A, he had 24 home runs and had over 900 OPS. Young kid, he fits the mold and the timeline of guys like Max Clark and McGonigal and Jackson Jobe to go along with them. So that was the biggest return. I watched some of his at-bats. I watched some of his games last night, and he is, I don't know, I feel like he's comfortable in the box. He attacks the ball. He is going to swing a lot, and he's going to strike out a lot. And that's something they might want to cut down on, but he's aggressive in the box, and he puts good contact on the ball when he hits it.
Yeah, I mean, catch your first baseman, Dodgers' 3rd highest rated prospect. According to one cat who follows this stuff, he said the 3rd best prospect to go off the board. Now, I've read, again, I don't know anything about something called Trey Sweeney. He could be make-believe for all I know, all right? But I've read that Trey Sweeney is a shortstop, gaping hole in this franchise, right? We all need a shortstop. And a couple different people pointed out that this is a guy that might be closer to the majors than really any of these other guys.
Yes.
I mean, this is a guy that effectively might even see this year. Well, this is going back to your point. This is where the player and need kind of go hand in hand. Can we all agree the Tigers need a shortstop?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So could this guy fit the bill? I don't know. I have no idea. But Mac, like you said, I get what he was trying to do. I don't think there was anything that Scott Harris was going to do yesterday, short of the monumental Tarek Skubal trade offers that have been out there for the past couple of weeks, that was going to make anybody happy. There was no move yesterday that was going to make the whole collective Detroit Tiger fan base go, yes, that's the one. That's the one. It just wasn't going to happen. And to your point, you can still trade Skubal. The off season, perhaps somebody says, you know what? Let's start the season. We want a full-fledged ace. You can still trade him. That's still possible to happen to help speed things up. Now, again, I'm somebody, I said it since day one. I don't want a package of prospects. You know what? I'll take a couple prospects, but give me a good MLB ready, as close to an MLB ready guy as you can get. So it's not all lost, Mac, in that regard. I think people wanted to be floored by what the Tigers got in return, and it just simply wasn't going to happen yesterday.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And when I look at Trey Sweeney, he's a switch hitter. He's a former first-round pick. He's a guy who's got 63, I think, RBIs in AAA this year, and I would like to see him in the show as soon as possible, like this year. Like, we know what Kreidler is. No offense to him, but he's a cone. He's not good. He's not a good ball player. We know Javi Baez is a dog shit. So bring Sweeney up, give him some reps to end the year, and see what you got.
I think that you nailed it, Spenny, and I agree with the ski mask boy. Trey Sweeney is a ball name.
Yeah,
it's like Gunnar Henriksen and Jax Holiday. Like these are like ball players, and Sweeney, it reminds me of Mark Sweeney in Kansas City.
I remember.
Right?
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any lineage. But I think you nailed it right there, Spenny. And I think that as we see, right, where they have moved from the minors and AAA and stuff like this, I think you're going to see that rotating. Mm-hmm. So let's see, like, as a Tiger fan, if you show me that you're giving guys these cups of coffees and we're seeing at this level, look at what Perez has done. Look at what some of the guys that have come up. So I believe sooner than later. So you're going to see what you get. One of the other things, right? What do we always say about Brad Holmes? The way that he can draft guys that can play right now. Maybe one of the things, not just in the development that Scott Harris has done with his experience with the Giants and then picking off different guys from, the Rays organization stuff. Maybe you can define guys who are ready for that next step. That's also a talent too, right? Who are the guys in the minors that are ready to make that step? And maybe that step is to be made here, or the opportunity is to be provided here, because how much does it cost you? Very little.
You bring up such a great point in regards to Brad Holmes, because unless you didn't have a brain in your head, going into 2021, you knew that the Lions weren't going to be any good. And that was okay. I know nobody wanted to hear it. I mean, people were talking about playoffs and come on, let's go, jump in the Lion playoff limo and everything. But you saw what he was trying to accomplish. Okay, let's use that extra first-round pick. We're going to get a high first-round pick because the talent level isn't there yet. Let's see what that translates to going into 2022. Boom, took a big step. Well, then thankfully for the Lions at that point in time, the Rams fell flat on their face. That next pick became higher than anybody thought. Boom, all of a sudden you're in 2023. But to me, Mac, that's the thing. I think people want to see a path. I think they're a little more patient if you can say, okay, I get what you're trying to do. I get what you're trying to do. And that's exactly what Brad Holmes is. I think for a lot of people up to this point, there's been a lot of head scratching saying, all right, so Scott, what are you trying to do? I think we saw a couple pieces. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm not letting him off the hook for past misgivings or anything like that. But I think you're right, Mac. I think you saw that there are some puzzle pieces there, and okay, I can see how that fits or that fits. And that's a key point, no doubt about it.
And part of that too, like Spenny said, how quick do we see a Trey Sweeney?
Yep.
Which should be really quick. We see him really quick, then okay, I get what you're throwing out here. Just like Dispo Dispensary, you get what they're throwing out. How about $10 of free products? Yeah, screenshot this image with the QR code and bring it to any Dispo location. You'll get a free $10 to spend in store with a minimum purchase of $25. Visit Dispo Dispensary today or DispoShops.com. Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out PremierPetSupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody!
Shop.woodwardsports.com. That's the only website you need if you want the best merch in the city.
Boo
we
them
got
kids.
the Tiger shirts. We got the Boo Them
Boo them
Kids shirts.
kids.
We got the Welcome to Detroit shirts. Anything you need. And if you're going to the game opening week against the Rams, you better buy your Boo Them Kids shirt at shop.woodwardsports.com.
I'm going to reiterate, and I know, Spencer, you hit on it too. Part of the crazy thing during the Al Avila era is so many of these players were myths.
Oh, yeah.
They were. You heard the names, right? But they legitimately, they were myths because you never got a chance to see them. We never got a chance to. We heard all the names. I mean, I can rip off these names off the top of my head to this day. Well, do you remember Daz Cameron?
Yeah.
Well,
That's gonna be your
Sergio
stud.
Alcantara.
Right. You heard all these names. Kristen Stewart. You heard all these names, but then you never got a chance to see him. And then when you finally saw him, you're going, "Oh, cool. Is this what I was waiting for?
Mm-hmm.
Is this what I was told to wait for?" So, to me, if you get a guy like Trey Sweeney, and if what people are saying about this guy is true, that he is the most major league ready guy, gaping hole, highly thought of prospect, you wouldn't make a move for him unless you wanted him. Why don't we see him?
look at this and think about this serviceability. Now let's just start looking up the middle, right? Like looking up the middle. You brought up a name yesterday, Spenny, that you're happy in Dingler,
Yep.
right? Who's up at catcher stuff like this. So what, you got a catcher You got your second baseman and signed to a 10-year deal in Cole Keith, and we've seen his evolution this year as he gets more comfortable. I mean, are you, God forbid, you're telling me that I could be seeing the next second base, shortstop, up the middle combo? You also got Riley Green in the outfield there, wherever, you want to play him. It's starting to sort of maybe assemble. Now, these guys got to hit, but this kid's just got to be serviceable. And would you be willing to give him time to figure it out like you gave Cole Keith time? And what better time than now?
I would.
Right? What better time than now? Because you know what? The blessing, and I guess I'm going to say this, I'm not going to project anybody else. I'm going to say, as my Tiger fan, you know what I would like? I would like to go into the off season as a Tigers fan going, oh man, I think that I got my second base shortstop combo going in for the next 5-10 years like this. Like, there is something there. Got work to do. What's that? To hit to all he has to do is hit what is his shortstop position providing right now?
Yeah.
210?
Yeah,
220, hit 240, 250, whatever like this. Show some production like anything else. And then we'll worry about the power positions at the corner. But Spenny was onto it because I believe Dingler might be, or there's somebody else coming through that the prospect behind the plate. So slowly but surely might be coming together. So maybe that's what I asked for by the end of the rest of the season. Any of these young guys or the guys that we've heard, these names, can I at least have this eyeball test to either know going into next season or not what we're dealing with?
Well, in Mac, you know this better than anybody because you're a big catcher guy. That was another part of the frustration. How many catchers of the future did this franchise have in the last 8 years?
Al Avila, James McCann, Jake Rogers. Yeah.
Catcher of the future. They were anointed, okay?
Yep.
And it didn't work. And look, Jake Rogers is a nice guy. Jake Rogers, the head, the flop and all that. I love the bit, okay? Jake Rogers isn't your everyday. This guy is a legitimate MLB guy. I would hope, as likable as the guy is, I would hope that each and every one of you out there would want more from that position than what Jake Rogers has brought to the table, right? And I think that's why seeing a guy like Dingler and okay, wow, I've heard about him. Maybe I saw him there, but now I get a chance to see it, and oh my goodness, now I get why there were multiple people out there that anointed this guy as the catcher of the future. Because I think that is part and parcel with what so many fans are frustrated at. They're tired of hearing about the promise of this guy and the promise of that guy. And it happens in every sport, Mac. There are guys that listen, I'll tell you point blank. Jakob Kindle.
Yeah.
I saw Jakob Kindle play when he was with the Rangers.
Right?
I had a conversation with a current general manager in the NHL. I bet you can figure out who. And he was like, what do you think? Because I saw him a bunch of times. I was like, he doesn't belong in this league right now. He doesn't belong in the OHL. He's that good. He doesn't belong in this league. And Mac, for whatever reason, it just never happened.
Damian Brunner.
So, I mean, you have to accept, no matter how so many of these guys look, no matter how good so many of them look, it might not happen, okay? So it's better to apply a little eye test to build some good faith going into the next season.
And I look at what Scott Harris is doing, and I have optimism going forward for the guys he picked up because all of his draft picks, the majority of the guys that he brought in are all single A, double A now. Like, obviously the two big ones in Clark and McGonigal in high A. You've got Hao-Yu Lee in double A, absolutely ripping it up. The two bets in this lineup that were prospects that Scott Harris went out and got are Justin Henry Malloy and Wenzel Perez. And these were guys that weren't these top prospects, these top super, thought of guys. He brought them in here. They have been MLB players. They have been supplemental bats in your lineup. So I have faith that he can identify guys to bring in here and be ready to hit in the MLB. While all of his big stars and the guys he wants to be your centerpieces, he got from high school, and they're going to take a couple years. But he can get supplementary bats for trading pieces at the deadline. That's why I have faith in these guys that he's bringing in that might be MLB ready pretty soon. Not to be superstars, not to be Mike Trout, not to be Aaron Judge, but to beat MLB hitters, which is what we haven't had in a couple
Isn't
years.
it more, Sean, like at the end, if you want to use the comparison between baseball and hockey, like if Kenny Holland's signing free agents or bringing guys in as opposed to Steve Yzerman, use the same analogy, Al Avila to Scott Harris, to Spenny's point, is that I think to his credit, he can recognize talent, and maybe that next, who are the guys that are down there, like the two guys that he mentioned that are Major League Baseball players. So that gives me hope that we have something, and he is the right guy for the job. It's just right now, it's just about patience.
And we're at the point. It's funny you bring up Yzerman, because I was thinking about this last night. We're at the point where I know a lot of Tiger fans, raise my hand, you want to bring in a known. Okay, it would be great if you brought in a known, a guy that has been established. That wow, I can't believe that we picked up that guy, and that's further down the line. And you brought up Yzerman. That's what Steve Yzerman did last year. He brought in Patrick Kane. Like, unless you live in a cave, everybody knows who Patrick Kane is. Now, there was a lot of back and forth about what does he have left. He just came off this hip surgery, blah, 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 blah. But it didn't take long for anybody and everybody to figure out, okay, Patrick Kane has a lot of game left, okay? Patrick Kane is an explosive Hall of Famer to be, who all you have to do is watch him to see what people are talking about. And the Tigers aren't at that point yet, because I think, and this is what we're all getting at, we have been in a point where, whether we want to admit it or not, many people in this fan base have put less thans on a pedestal because we haven't had much to be excited about. Whether it be Jake Rogers, whether it be Akil Baddoo, doesn't matter. We've kind of put these guys on pedestals that they don't necessarily belong, because we haven't had,
because our want is so great.
You got it.
We've been starved.
Yep. And to your point earlier, I'm glad that you and Mac, last year, you know what happened last year? Tarek Skubal turned into a stud before our very eyes.
Yeah.
And nobody was paying attention.
I got a jersey.
I was, you were, I was, a lot of you were, but you know what happens? People check out. The Lions start. Michigan football start. Everybody knew that Michigan had a really good season. Who knew it was going to turn into what it eventually turned into? Same thing with the Lions. Okay, realistic expectations with this football team. And my gosh, the Lions not only met them, but in my mind surpassed them. So what happens is, when you're very close to apathy, people check out. They do. And I don't think the average fan out there realizes that Tarek Skubal turned into a stud. Forget this year. It was last year, because they checked out, like you brought up earlier. They were, I want to see what's going on at training camp.
You know what? Here's the irony. Grant, what's today? July 31st, 2024. July 31st, 2026. We're going to be sitting here going, oh my God, I wish I would have got sleep for the past 2 years, because I got to go from this season to that season. Because you remember what it's like when the Tigers are humming during the summer. Can you imagine the Tigers humming into the Lions training camp, into the Red Wings or whatever? So that's what I'm telling everybody, because that's what the writing on the wall is, slowly but surely, because you have these teams that are trying to do it the correct way. Now, in the NFL, we always said it can go faster when it's done right, and we're watching it right before our eyes in every facet. So I think that more so it's all about, all I hear is, no matter what we're talking about, is can they identify talent? And I think 3 of the leaders in this town have proven that, and the rest, the other one with the Pistons is wait to be seen.
So we're going to jump in the time machine, as Mac just suggested, okay? Let's go to, forget 2026, let's go to July 31st, 2025. And this is a question that I'm going to ask the guys in the room and all you guys in the chat as well. A year from today, are the Tigers buyers or sellers? Are we still in this perpetual state? I'm going to say it again, a perpetual state of a year away from a year away? That's a question we're going to ask. A lot of other stuff we're going to get into. Obviously, got to get into Lions camp. Just brutal news about Kaminsky. We all know that. What can you possibly say? I'm going to ask Mac about his take on training camp as a whole. I get it. Every sport is a little different. Every group is a little different. But I think it's an important question. A guy that, I don't know if you know this, he was a professional for many years. He won 4 Stanley Cups as well. He might know a little something about a camp or two. All right, where are we going?
Let me tell you guys about the morning show. It's the best morning show in the world. Wake up, Woodward, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Join Kool-Aid, Flannel Sam, Broder, JB, KG, and Juices as they break down all of the important things bright and early on Wake Up Woodward. Make sure you guys tap in, support the boys. They're rolling, and it's a great watch. It's Wake Up Woodward, 8 to 10 a.m., only on the Woodward Sports Network.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today. Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. We will be at the Premier Pet Supply in Livonia tomorrow for Big D Energy, so make sure you come check us out. And they have, of course, 30-plus years of family-owned and operated business, 60-plus brands of food, and anything you can need. Find out where at premierpetsupply.com.
L-Town tomorrow.
L-Town.
Sean Belize
Get
and
them
Darren
L's up,
McCarty. Hey, nobody in the chat said shout out to your Wayne State hat. Way to represent.
Thank you.
And you know what? You know how they say, and Sean's in for the golden voice, Neil Rule. You're the hardened like steel voice of Sean Belize. like the old, right? The aluminum stiff shafts like Shanny used to before the composites. Like you're grizzled steel.
Do you have any wood sticks left? Do you have any of your old wood sticks?
I know my mom's got my 50th goal Titan stick from junior that I scored it. It's wild.
He was a stud in Belleville. Don't believe me, look it up.
That's why we're friends, because you saw me play and you know how great I was. I believe I have one Louisville red and white. That was not the one I scored my first goal with, but one of those. Like, it's crazy. You pick that stuff up these days, and
I'm carrying a tree. Like a kid like Justin. Justin, you have no idea. I have, do you remember this one? The old Canadian 6001.
Oh.
I have a black and white Canadian 6001. You can
do rehab curls with that.
Seriously, I'm holding a tree trunk compared to some of the sticks today.
I actually do have some experience with that. My dad owned like this. It was like made out of like metal, it felt like. It was so heavy and so like I didn't even know what I was holding. It felt like I was, like a dumbbell or something. Now I don't even notice I have a stick. It's so light. It's crazy how the evolution of hockey sticks have come to be and how they've gotten to this composite that just is grams compared to how heavy do you think it was back in the day?
Well, every time I hold that stick, I laugh. Because I have it in my basement. I have a few sticks saved and everything. And I have, it's practically brand new. I think I used it one time. And occasionally I'll go downstairs and I'm like, I'm going to shoot around. I'm going to shoot around a little bit. Just fire the tennis ball at the wall. And I'm like, how the hell did we use those sticks, Mac?
I know.
Like, honest to goodness.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable. All right, so here's a question we asked before we went to break. And I think Spenny came up with this. Are the Tigers buyers or sellers at the trade deadline next year? And I'm going to go around the room. I want to ask each and every... Spenny, let's start with you, because I think you came up with the question. Are the Tigers buyers or sellers July 31st, 2025? Buyers or sellers?
They're sellers. They're going to sell again. We talked about it. The just mediocrity in perpetuity that they're stuck in. The only way to get out of that in the MLB, there are two ways you can get out of that in the MLB. You can do what the Orioles did, blow up, trade for top flight prospects, get a bunch of top flight prospects in here. They didn't. They kept Skubal. I'm fine with that. The other way to do that is to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on impact bats. They're not going to do that. I have no faith that Chris Ilitch is going to do that. They're going to be at the same spot next year as they are right now, and they're going to sell.
Justin?
I'm on the same wave. I don't think Ilitch will spend truly enough. I think he's going to do this. Scott Harris is going to do the exact same thing he did this year. He's going to bring in hopefully more veteran bats, so you don't see a regression too bad. I mean, their sophomore slump is probably guaranteed out of Colt Keith at some point. But Riley Green, you need to keep him elevated. You need to bring in enough bats to make this lineup an MLB lineup. And then you probably are going to end up selling and flipping all of them at the deadline to stack your prospect pool for when you're ready with the Clarks, the McGonicals, who we just got from the Dodgers, the Sweeneys of the world. All those players is our current window, and they're going to sell again. It's as simple as that.
Mac, a year away from being a year away?
I think you're still in the same position, but you might be more solidified. But I think that, like, all I want as a fan base is sort of see the direction, right? To all the names that you're talking about have to be getting closer if that's the game plan. But I think the next big thing to realize or to see is what they do. Are they going to sign Skubal to a long-term deal in the offseason, or because they have team control, or they're going to use their option and wait it out? That also, too, if Tarek Skubal doesn't have a long-term contract coming up trade deadline, I mean, he's just as valuable, if not more, right?
I am looking at this, and I know that so many people out there think that it's incumbent upon Chris Ilitch to open up the wallet and do as his father did. I have no reason to believe that's going to happen.
Yep.
I'm not saying that it won't, okay? But based on what we've seen so far, what would make anybody out there say that Chris Ilitch is going to open? You can wake up one morning, much like Mr. Ilitch did, right? Mr. Ilitch breakfast time. You know what? I think I'm going to have this morning. I'm going to have some Eggs Benedict, and maybe I'm going to get some Victor Martinez on the side. Hey, Dave, can you go offer a big bag to Victor Martinez and bring Victor Martinez here? So what's the best we can hope for?
Fire up the extra pizza machines.
Right. What's legitimately the best we can hope for? You know, the best that we can hope for is that Scott Harris can design this team much like the Cleveland Indians are built. Okay? Does anybody think the Cleveland Indians are going to go win a World Series? I don't.
No.
Okay? But the Cleveland Indians are a team that right now they're spending what? Maybe $10 million more than the Detroit Tigers? And yet this is a legitimate contending team and doesn't have to play the game of we're only 6 back of the wild card, which I think is the biggest fool's gold out there. I'm sorry. It just is. MLB is doing as the NFL did, and they are selling hope. Okay? Or all the years that Tampa was in the mix, and they didn't have any kind of payroll whatsoever. You get a bunch of good players spending, much like you said. I'm not saying 5-star can't miss guys. You get a bunch of parts, and you compete with what you have at your disposal, especially in this division. That would be best case scenario. Is that plausible a year from now? No. Mac, you nailed it. We're going to be in I don't want to say the exact same spot because maybe we have a couple of these pieces here and making us excited, whether it be Sweeney, whether it be Dingler, but I don't think we're going to be too far from where we're at right now.
No, I don't think so either. And I guess what my hope is that, what is it? Like 2-3 years from now that if he's going to spend money, he'll spend it on that one guy that we need because everything else has evolved its way. That sort of, if I was putting my money on it, what I would now. But so right now, I just want to see direction. And the first thing I want to see is how quick before Trey Sweeney gets his opportunity in the big league uniform, because that will say, okay, I see a little bit of what you're doing. That's all you want. And until then, I'll be over here with apathy cheering on the Lions and hoping nobody gets
it really is one of those. The crazy thing about it, Mac, is like I went and saw the Tigers play out in Anaheim. The end of June. I think it was July 1st, actually. My boy's out in L.A., and we went and saw the Tigers play in Anaheim. I was shocked at how many Tiger fans were at that game. Shocked.
Wow.
We are such a fan base that is desirous of a legitimately competing team. And I'm going to say it again. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not one of those guys, even when they were hot a couple weeks ago, okay? Man, we're really in it. We're really in it. No, when you're 5 games out of a wild card spot and there are 4 or 5 teams ahead of you as is, are you really that close? But this fan base wants to believe. And you go to different parks, and we've gone to so many different parks. Mac, I'm telling you, this is no BS. There were a ton of Tiger fans in Anaheim. I'm not joking when I say this. It was probably 60-40. That's how many Tiger fans were there. Now, I don't know if it were people like me that were out there on vacation. I don't know if they were transplants and, the Tigers are in town. I just want to. This franchise is so desirous. And the one thing that we've seen about the Tigers, okay, and Mac, this is going back to 2006. I will never forget when it hit me that things were changed. There was like a random Wednesday night game during 2006, and Roger Clemens was with the Houston Astros, and the Astros were in town, and the place was flipping packed. Absolutely packed. And like my kid at the time, he's like 6 years old. He's going, wow, Dad, isn't this different from the last couple of years? And I said, get used to it, son. This is going to be around for a while. The one thing that this town has definitively shown is if you give them a reason to come, people are going to show up.
They will show
People
up.
are going to be at Comerica Park, man. That's been the only team that really has been immune to that is the Detroit Lions. People always went to the Silverdome. People, for the most part, went to Ford Field. I think 2007 and 2008, those lean years, it was a little different. But, man, people are waiting. Give them something. And it's funny because hearing you, Mac, hearing you, Spenny, seeing some of the stuff that people are saying in the chat, we're not asking for a lot.
No.
Give me something to be excited about. And
Give
that
me
can take the
something
form
to
of
believe
jingling.
in.
Yes, right.
Oh, Lord above.
Poison.
Give me something to believe in.
Kaminsky, just heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. I really wonder. I think if you read the tea leaves, you saw that we weren't going to be playing a whole heck of a lot of exhibition games, and I think that those games are going to lessen. I really wonder how much more we're going to see at camp. Look, you have to have it. You do. There's no doubt about that. But I figured since we have like a real professional athlete actually here in studio, see him? Look at that right there. There he is. There's a professional athlete. I'm going to ask him when we come back, how important are these training camps? And hear me out. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have it, okay? You can't roll into the season and not have it. But how important are these training camps? We'll get into that, how the Kaminsky injury affects the Lions as well. Don't go anywhere, Big D Energy.
Yeah, but if you are going anywhere, maybe it's to get a haircut, and you know where to go. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, sit back, relax at one of the talented stylists, make you look and feel great. Maybe get one of those big hot leather wax massages or get that neck shave. Whatever you want, Lady Jane's has it. Remember, Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
By McLaren. It's back August 22nd through the 25th at Warwick Hills. Leave the golf to the pros, but don't miss the party at 17. $2 birdie beers, concerts, and more. Get your tickets at allychallenge.com. Brought to you by Randy Wise Automotive. It's the Ally Challenge.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody!
Game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts, professional technicians who take the time to recommend secure and automated solutions specific to your needs. All that Guardian wants you to do is call the number 1-800.
Stay out.
24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night. Know the Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as it's needed. Just call the number 1-800.
Stay out.
Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology. Have been proven to work, and people have been proven to care. Whether it's business, whether it's pleasure, Guardian doesn't care. Give them a call, 1-800.
Stay out. Stay out of selling in perpetuity, Tigers. Please, I just want a competitive baseball team.
Guardian Alarm, your local security experts. Tell them Big D Energy. We sent you.
All right, so we're almost at that point in time where we get to talk about these exhibitions, right? Tomorrow night, Hall of Fame game. Sorry, I'm in. I'm going to watch it. I understand what it is. I totally understand what it is, but I'm going to watch it. And, of course, 8 days away from the Lions taking the field. And I always laugh every year because this has become a thing. Don't you want your starters to play more? No. One series is not going to make the difference in the course of a season. Sorry, I categorically deny that. But, Matt, I saw a lot of people saying maybe you shouldn't go that hard in camp, et cetera, et cetera. Sadly, an injury like we saw to Kaminsky yesterday is going to happen. Torn MCL, likely out for the season. There's so much back and forth about how much of this is needed. Do we have to go that hard? Blah, blah, blah. Mac, I think there's a big difference between going hard at practice and going hard in some of these exhibition games. There's just a huge difference. But why don't we ask the pro? Mac, how important are these training camps to professional athletes?
Well, DNCENT, he says they are exponentially important. They don't think they need a pro athlete to tell them that. So, I mean, he's got it all figured out. So I'd like to know why.
All right, we'll move on.
Why DNCENT are they important? And why is it different depending on what type of team you have? And it's different. I firmly believe it's different from a team that has won to a team that is learning how to win, and from a team that has a culture that's built in to a team that's striving to build a culture. What you have in Detroit right now with this Lions team is they're still building that culture on hard work and not what they've done because they got to do it again and do it again. Now, they're building that because if you look, and I saw somebody put in the chat, all the guys that are still here from 2021 from that beginning, which is something that we haven't seen, which tells you why it's not the same old Lions because of the turnover. So it is slowly but surely getting there. Now, I listened, and it's all about game plan too. So coming out, every team can do it any way they want in any sport. But do they have a plan? And Dan Campbell has always told us that the hard work that we do now and the physicality will pay off down the road in the season. That's their culture, their work. They want to smash with each other. Now, the biggest thing, too, when you're building, because it's the same thing, is like the Red Wings going to camp this September will be different than the Florida Panthers who won the Stanley Cup going to camp.
Yep.
It was different from us going to camp in 93, 94, 95, 96 and going to 97, 98, 02, whatever like that. And it's more of you know what you have to do, what's expected, but it's also the biggest thing is implementing system, right? So why it's so important for this Detroit Lions team to go hard? Well, holy crap. Do we not have a brand new secondary and a whole bunch of different guys implementing on the defensive line? You want to get the continuity on the offense, even though it hasn't changed a whole lot, but you got, something that you're unveiling to its full potential in Jamison Williams and all these guys. You want to see what you have. You want to, I guess, yes, it's unfortunate because injuries do happen, but But with the way that the Lions are approaching it and the way that they have made them successful, it's like you go at it hard early with each other. And it's also to a testament to that we're in. We're in. And I guess it's just something that of getting their new systems down and getting accustomed with each other when you go. I think football is different than hockey, right? Because in hockey, you're sort of taught, other than if you're battling to get in, but training camp with your own team or your draft isn't the time to physically unleash. You wait for exhibition, but that's why there's 9 exhibition games. So it's set up differently where you want to be physical and you want to do that, but it's still training camps for systems. The Red Wings, you hear Lalonde 1-1-3 or whatever the hell he's implementing, 1-3-1 or whatever they want to implement. Well, that takes time. That's when you do it. Practice, stuff like that. So that's what the Lions are doing. And unfortunately, injuries, are part of this. It's 100% in football.
There are 2 things that come to mind, and I'm going to use one of your teams as an example. The Detroit Lions are in a place right now because of Dan Campbell, okay, where the usual bells and whistles of training camp, the training camps that I covered for so many years, you don't need them, okay? Let me tell you something. During the Mariucci era, you may as well have been holding hands and singing the Legoland song. Everything is awesome. They wanted to tell everybody how awesome everything was. And we're building something special here. Although you saw with what they had at their disposal, you saw the pieces, you saw some of the divisions, that everything was not awesome. And this comes back to a word I know you love to use back, culture. Dan Campbell has changed the culture. This is a team that isn't going to tell you what they're going to do anymore. This is a team that's going to say, this is what we did and we can do more. And there's a huge difference with that mentality. Yep, we won the division. Yep, we won a couple playoff games. But we are not satisfied in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to use your team, the 2001-2002 Detroit Red Wings. A team that arguably could be debated as the greatest team of all time.
Can I quote Wayne Gretzky?
Go ahead.
He was asked, what was it like to play on the greatest team of all time? Wayne Gretzky, arguably the greatest player in history, said, I don't know. I didn't play on the 2002 Stanley Cup winning Detroit Red Wings.
And I hope you remember this. I remember going to a practice before the season started, and you had Brett Hull come in. You had Luc Robitaille come in. You had Dominik Hasek come in. And you guys had your practice, and then Scotty said, all right, Hasek, go down there. Lined everybody up at the blue line. Do you remember this? Please tell me you do. Lined everybody up at the blue line and said, we're taking penalty shots on Hasek. The entire team took a shot at Dominik Hasek. Nobody scored. Not one person. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Not one person scored on it.
I think I hit the crossbar.
The second time around, Brendan Shanahan was one of the first shooters, okay? Shanahan comes in, Hasek makes a stop. Shanahan kind of stood right next to him and looked at him like this, like, what the is wrong with you? Like what planet do you come from? And the boys, you guys all had a laugh out of it. Somebody finally scored. It was probably Draper with his hands. But it was one of those, honestly, it was one of those things where that's something you can do when you're a team that had been there and done that, but you were still hungry. Yeah. It had been a few years since your group had won. And Kenny knew that. So that's why he brought in Robitaille. That's why he brought in Hasek. That's why he brought in those different pieces to get you to that point. And so that's the kind of stuff a veteran team who had been there and done that can do. Other teams simply put, I think you bring up a great example. The Florida Panthers. You know what? You just want to make sure that you're not complacent. But you got to mix in a little fun as well. And I think that's a difference in some of these camps.
Well, I mean, there is. And you look at the Lions, as hard as they're working at pads and stuff like that, but they're having fun. It's having fun. You have fun competing and getting together, and because you know what the goal at the end is. They're in a different, this is more like us in, 95 or 96 when we know we were close, and they have expectations of Super Bowl. We have expectations of winning our first championship. So there's just this focus, but where you're dialing it in and you're doing everything to get yourself ready, along with, whether it's, studying the film and you're pushing. Like I always say, when the guy next to you is more important to you than you are to yourself, that's when you will win. And you're seeing that out there.
I have a theory that I'm going to run by you. I have said for years, I do not buy for a second that there are, quote unquote, multiple jobs up for grabs. I think, and I'm going to use your former coach. Are you going to tell me that Scotty Bowman didn't know exactly what his lineup looked like on July 1st? Forget October 1st.
100%.
Okay. Scotty Bowman knew who was going. Now, there might be a guy that, this guy blew my mind.
Well, then you'll get a Pavel come around.
Right, exactly. Guys, like the same thing is true right now for the Detroit Lions. I'm not saying that this entire roster is filled, okay? But are you telling me, with what we've seen out of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell through this stretch of time, are you going to tell me that these guys don't know exactly what their roster is going to look like? There might be a young kid like Sweet Justin who, okay, not only did this dude work his ass off in camp, but he put it on tape as well, because we're not too far away from he put it on tape, okay? There might be the rare occasion where a guy like Justin earns his way on the team, but more often than not as a starter. And so that's why I think sometimes, yes, camp is important, but don't put too much into it. These jobs are decided.
Well, but I think maybe in football it's a little different, because what you're fighting against isn't somebody beating somebody out of a job, it's injury.
Yeah.
Right? And what Dan Campbell has always said is that, and I go back to, is that I realized early I have to prepare like all my starters will go down. Now, John Kaminsky, who was, whether he was a starter or not, but he was an integral part of that defense with what he brought, is going to be missing. So I think that what you prepare for is that in the football acumen, is where you're going to lean for the next guy with the opportunity. But guys are going to give opportunities, but I also think is that when you're competing with each other, and you've seen it before, guys can outshine guys. And in this Lions locker, I think that opportunity, if you earn it, you will get an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, one job, one position certainly up for grabs. You hate to hear it. John Kaminsky, of course, tears his MCL, likely out for the season. So it's Tuesday. We have a top 5 list. Wednesday. Tuesday, Mac hit me up and goes, give me your top 5 blank, okay? I'm going to give you our top 5 blank. Are we allowed to say now, or should I tease it?
Oh, you can say it now.
No, you can say it.
All right. Top 5 wedding hors d'oeuvres.
In honor of Stick's wedding this weekend, which should be epic video of. I expect the heavyweights to be in full form.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
We are doing top 5 wedding hors d'oeuvres when we come back. But first, let me tell you about Swiss Insurance. Now more than ever, it is critical to have your insurance reviewed. Swiss Insurance will make sure your carrier is not slipping in extra fees. How do you do that? You call my buddy Mark today at Swiss Insurance, 313-530-1698, or go to SwissINS.com.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down.
Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Join the best youth football league in Metro Detroit, the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Michigan 3C Sports League, offers the youth ages 5 to 14 with 6 exciting teams to choose from in Detroit, Belleville, Highland Park, and East Point. All coaches are trained, certified, and undergo background checks. Register for football or cheer at bgcsm.org. Equipment, meals, and transportation included, all for a chance to play for a championship at Ford Field for just $175 per child. Put the youth back in youth sports with BGCSM 3C Sports.
All right, so it depends what age you are. Let's be honest. It depends what age you are in regards to weddings that you go to. All right? Guys like Mac and I, most of our buddies have been married once, maybe a couple times. You're not going to see too many weddings anymore. The weddings that we go to now are children. Mac's kids, my kids, my buddy's kids, whatever the case may be. Stick is friend to all. And he's getting married this weekend, whereas guys like Spenny and maybe not so much for you yet, Justin, but you know what? A lot of your friends are getting married. Maybe your brother's getting married, Spenny. I know you can relate to that.
Yep.
But you all have the routine of going to a wedding. And most importantly, going to the reception afterwards, where back in the day, Spenny, you're going to have to tell me if this is the case now. Like, all jokes aside, there's a reason why the movie Wedding Crashers was made.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Mac, I think you can relate to that. I mean, back in the day, that was the place. You're a single guy. You want to go have some fun. A wedding reception really helped you out. We'll leave it at that. But in honor of our buddy Stick, who is getting married this weekend, congratulations, pal, we decided to roll with top 5 wedding hors d'oeuvre list.
Yes.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. I normally bat lead off. So my top 5 wedding hors d'oeuvre list. Ryan Lenz put me in a dress, but shout out to Huntington Beach. That was a great time I spent in Orange County. But at number 5, I got spring rolls. Love a spring roll, whether it's filled with pork, whatever you want. But when they bring them over on the little tray, love those. At number 4, I got caprese skewers. You got a cherry tomato, a ball of mozzarella, another tomato, the balsamic on top with some basil. That's a good stuff. Number 3, I got buffalo chicken. Whether it is on a skewer, in a little bite, whatever you got. I love some buffalo chicken. Number 2, Swedish meatballs. Normally just come on a little poker. You grab one, boom, pop it, perfect. And number 1, beef Wellington. It's when I worked at Andiamo, obviously we did a lot of luxurious, fancy weddings for all the paisans. And we, on these trays, we had beef Wellington in like a puff pastry kind of dumpling kind of thing. And so you just popped it in your mouth. Delicious, perfect. I could eat a whole tray of those. They were so good. So that is my top 5 list. Beef Wellington is a far away number 1. I love those.
All right, Justin, you want to go next?
Yep. I will usually bat second, so let's keep it pushing. Spenny? All right. Young Justin without the beard right there, if you ever were curious what I look like without the beard. But first off, honorable mention, I've never had this at a wedding, but I saw they make lobster mac and cheese puff pastries. That'd probably be my number 1 easily. I just never had it, so I can't put it on the list. Number 5, just simple, fresh rolls. I'm a big bread guy. Bread and butter, so simple, so easy. You can give it to me and I'll be happy. Number 4, pigs in a blanket.
Underrated. Chronically underrated.
Yeah.
It's such a staple, honestly. Like, if you don't have pigs in a blanket at, like, a tailgate, wedding, honestly, I don't even know what you're doing. It's so easy. Everybody loves them. Number 3, bang bang shrimp. I love a nice little hot piece of shrimp, maybe if it's fried or if it's just straight up. Doesn't matter to me. I'll eat it. Number 2, little charcuterie board, as they say on Hard Knocks. I know it's charcuterie, but simple, basic, but gets the job done. And then number 1, I love a good caprese salad, especially if they have fresh tomatoes and a little bread with it as well. I think that's the perfect combo for a summer wedding where you just want something light before dinner. And that just hits the spot.
Jay Cruz in 71 wants to know where's the Korean beef, Jesus?
Oh, yeah. It's true.
Let me tell you something. Honestly, I have a big Christmas Eve feast at my house every year. And like the main event is always something different.
Everybody's invited but Art Smith.
You guys, that's true. We've already established that. But all jokes aside, like the main event is always different. I'm going to do a Cajun turkey. I'm going to do a prime rib, whatever. The pigs in a blanket are gone. I'll make like 100 pigs in a blanket, and it's like, what the? Gone.
They're so
I mean,
good.
it's because I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. All right, I got to do this. I got to do that. Oh, I'm going to grab a handful of pigs in a blanket. Gone. I mean, they disappear in the blink of an eye. It's like for a Christmas dinner, dude, pigs in a blanket just hits right. It's right.
Glizzies in any style, like that's where people might lie to themselves the most. Now, batting third, I'll go because a great segue.
Bless you.
Look at that. The bell.
Bless you.
Great segue to number 5. Oh, remember those days?
Great jersey.
Great jersey.
That was only the 30-goal year.
Yeah,
though.
that jersey goes hard.
That was only my 30-goal year. Holy, that might be the biggest I've been. Look at that chunker. Anyways, speaking of the pigs in a blanket, number 5. Absolutely. Can't go wrong with those. You get a handful. Chicken skewers. Love the chicken skewers. Usually a Thai peanut butter dipper.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
Fruits and veggie plates. I like them. I mean, there,
yeah.
whatever with the yogurt, put it
Some
on.
pineapple.
Whatever it is. Number 2, the cheese tray. Can never walk by the cheese tray without trying cheese that you've never tried before. Sometimes you walk into a bad one, but that's okay, part of the game. And then bruschetta one-timers, right? The little one-timers on the little bruschetta one-timers all day.
On that little piece of bread, and it's got to be a hard piece of bread.
Oh, yeah.
Got to be the hard piece of bread, right?
I'm big with the hard outside, soft inside.
All right, that's
usually
fair.
in the middle.
I can do that. I said screw the fruits and vegetables. I mean, to the surprise of nobody.
That was 18-year-old D-Mac, by the way.
Yeah, that was. Gosh, that's probably about 10 years ago.
So you're all meat, no sides like flannel?
Yep. Sliders. Come on. Yeah. And when I say sliders, I'm talking chicken sliders. I'm talking roast beef. I'm talking pulled pork. Do it right. Come on, give me a variety. Same thing with the flatbread variety platter, okay?
Yeah.
Give me a little prosciutto on some.
Yeah.
Give me a little meat on some. Yes, I'll allow some vegetables there. Mini crab cakes. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Underrated. Just incredibly underrated. I love that steak bite with the good hard zip sauce.
That zip.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was in order.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Little dipper.
There it is,
Yeah.
Mac. It's
They got a great one at House of Shamrock.
charcuterie
Great one.
board. You cannot lose. Get yourself some gabagoo.
The gabagoo.
Gabagoo.
Get yourself, a whole bunch of the different meats, a fine selection of cheese. That's where you'll find me standing. So that's what we're looking at. Stick, I hope you have some great ideas.
I'll tell you what, Legends has some good steak bites.
Oh, yeah.
So does Coliseum. Those strip club steak bites are.
Oh, the 5-star chefs.
Oh yeah, love those.
Max.
I wish I could have seen some of the strip club shows that you guys speak so
They were
highly of. Like, I bet that was peak Woodward sports.
It was
right
great.
Hey, Detroit Dabber 313. Have you guys ever had bruschetta with feta instead of mozzarella?
Ooh.
Made of basil, feta, and garlic. I haven't, but that sounds
I don't know.
it
It
sounds
sounds
more like a
gas.
Greek.
Sounds like sacrilegious to me.
Well, it sounds like a different dish.
Need the
Sounds more
fresh
like
mozz on
Greek.
there. Come on.
You know what you could do though? You could make like the Greek style thing, but you can't call it bruschetta.
No,
right?
no.
Call it something,
Can't call it bruschetta.
right? The Acropolis or something.
Yes.
Yeah, go with the great. But I'm down with the idea. Some feta, maybe some olive.
Oh, I love feta.
Hey,
Don't say olives around this guy.
Speaking of this, for a lot of our listeners who don't know, that Sean Blegion here is the absolute grill master. Right now, the fact that I've been to his house a bunch of times for his, this grill out that he's talking about, stuff like that. So I would be remiss, this perfect time. What is this summer's grilling item of choice? Usually there's a theme that, usually the summer, the weather usually dictates how you're getting into it. I know it's not football season yet, because when football season hits around, that's usually on the weekends when you're humming. But Has there been a theme to this summer?
I have been on the beef short ribs tear for a while.
Beef short ribs?
Beef
Short
short
ribs,
ribs.
oh, man.
And it is, there's no rhyme or reason with beef short ribs. Like if I do a brisket, if I do a pulled pork, like I know the approximate time it's going to be done, that I'm going to get that baby to 202 and ready to take off. Mac, I'm telling you, with beef short ribs, you just don't know. I could put on 4 beef short ribs. Like you come over today, I could put on 4 beef short ribs. There might be 2 of them done in 5 hours. There might be another one done in 6 hours, and the other one might take 7.5 hours.
Really?
There is no rhyme or reason to get the beef short ribs to 200 degrees. None. But I'll tell you what, honestly, other than brisket, there's nothing more fulfilling than when you nail a beef short rib.
Okay.
When you nail a beef, because I'm telling you, the term meat candy, it melts in your mouth. It just you can always tell. You can look at a guy. I can look at Spenny. Don't say anything to me. You can't fake that. It's not like faking an orgasm. Okay. You can't fake when he puts that meat candy in his mouth. It just takes you someplace else, man. That's it.
And I thought they handed out double paper towels at your house because it's for your lap, not for your hands.
Me and my a couple of my buddies, when we were in Colorado, my brother's friends, we were, fucked up. It was like 4 a.m. We decided to throw a couple of steaks on the grill. We cooked up these 2 big T-bone steaks, sliced them up. I put them on a burger with some a fried egg, some hot sauce, and some avocado, and I had that at 4 in the morning. It was, oh man, it was so.
Benny, I don't think you were there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when I was working at Woodward before, like 3 years ago, I had like a Woodward shindig.
Yeah.
Where a bunch of guys came over. I don't.
No, I wasn't. Yeah.
Okay, it's. Sorry, you hate my family, but listen, it's really one of those things. Like I'm not like Mac. I enjoy it.
No, that's your jam.
I enjoy it. Like the one big one that we had, Mac. You were like, how many wings do you think you could make? And I was like, I don't know. How many should I make? And you were like, make 1,000 wings. I made 1,000 wings. We had 3 smokers going at the same time. But I made 1,000 wings, and we finished them off by request. Mac was like, oh, man, I like when you finish them off like in the fry. So you know what we did? Okay, we'll get a fry.
Yeah.
If Darren McCarty says he wants a fry, we'll get a fry. So we fried them. We put some sauce on them. And I'm going to have another shindig like that.
Yeah,
good. That was so much fun.
I've never been to a Sean barbecue.
Well, you know what? I'll plan it. I'll think of a good day.
Extravaganza.
I know college football week 0, I'm having a few guys over, but maybe one Monday night or something, I'll have the whole crew over. Because I like, all jokes aside, I think anybody else out there can attest to this. And Mac, thanks for bringing it up. The hardcore smokers, we love them.
Oh yeah.
I love. It's not work to me. Are you kidding me? I could have 2 butts on. I could have 8 different racks of ribs. I could have 10 different beef short ribs. That's great, man.
Oh
that's
God.
fun for me.
It sounds so good.
Yeah, it's past 12 o'clock and I haven't eaten all day, so you're kind of killing me over here.
Let's go to break real fast before I literally die. But we'll tell you about Mark White, because dreaming of buying a new home but feeling the financial pinch, Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 your closing costs. That's right, I said $5,000. Call Mark White and Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody!
Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer with 18 locations. There's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit feldmanauto.com to find the nearest location near you, because since 1996, a couple legends were born that year, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. Catch Woodward Sports live from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi every other Tuesday. We'll be there next week, so come down and join us. Feldman Chevy, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
You know, I got to be honest with you. I thought these words would never come out of my mouth. I feel sorry for Steve Eisner. I never in a million years did I think that those words would come out of my mouth. But I feel sorry for Steve Eisner. Because, and Mac, you tell me if I'm wrong here. I think a lot of people in this town are using their frustration at what isn't happening with the Detroit Pistons and what isn't happening with the Detroit Tigers. They're using their frustration and putting that onto the Detroit Red Wings. And I don't think it's fair in any way, shape, or form to compare where the Detroit Red Wings are at right now to where the Detroit Tigers and the Detroit Pistons are. You don't have a brain in your head if you can't see the direction that this team is taking. And this goes back to something that, Mac, you said last hour about the Tigers. One of the frustrating things is, what's the plan? Where are we going? And now, and I'm not patting him on the back just yet, but at least you can sit back and go, all right, Scott, I see what you did. All right, I say, yeah, we needed a shortstop. I see what you did. To compare where the Red Wings are at to either one of those teams is completely unfair, okay? You can see what the Red Wings have. Right now, I'm not talking at Michigan State. I'm not talking in junior. I'm not talking about in Grand Rapids. You can see what's here in Detroit wearing the winged wheel right now. Is it a lot? No, not yet. Be the first guy to say it. Is it at full capacity? No, not yet. But what you want to see is the path. And it's funny because Justin and I were talking about this last week, and I think you can bring Darren McCarty in on this conversation right now. All right? The Red Wings might not make the playoffs this year. They might not. Honestly, they might not make the playoffs this year. And you know what? For me, I don't think that's the end of the world in any way, shape, or form. Because I go back to the day, Darren, that Steve was hired. April 19th, 2019. This wasn't about merely just getting back into the playoffs. It never was about getting back into the playoffs and starting a whole brand new streak and golly gee, this is going to be great playoffs every single year. This was about getting the Red Wings franchise back to that point that you referenced earlier, Darren. 93, 94, 95, 96. Did 93 suck? Yeah. Borishevsky, Game 7.
That was not. 92,
93. 94. Jamie Baker. Oh, my gosh. 95. I cannot believe that series was over as fast as it was. But you saw the nucleus there, and you knew that the window was going to be open for quite some time. And how did that plan itself out? We saw how that planned itself out. Now, I'm not saying that there are 4 Stanley Cups coming down the pipe, okay? I don't know if it's the same league as it was then. But what I am saying is sooner rather than later, this team is going to be in a spot where every single year you have to think about them as a legitimate candidate to win the Stanley Cup. Much like the Tampa Lightning were. Okay? And the difference is, I will say this until I am blue in the face. When Steve came here, there was no Victor Hedman. There was no Steven Stamkos. Two guys that were quite not ready for prime time, but were this close. There wasn't anything like that. His starting point was vastly different. But Darren, to me, I don't think it's fair when I hear people talk about I'm tired of being patient. I'm with you. I get that. I think Steve Yzerman has earned some more patience. And again, remember what he said day one. If you pay attention to what a general manager is saying, oftentimes he will give you the answers that you're looking for. I think Steve Yzerman has been shooting straight since the day he was brought in, Darren.
100%. Listen when he talks. And for the ones that are tired, okay, you're tired. But what's it? Nobody's ever given me an alternative. What's the alternative other than it's just patience? And do you see direction? We come off talking about what we're looking and hoping for from Scott Harris and the Tigers, that we don't see clarity, but maybe there will be with some of these young guys that they just acquire getting in the lineup soon. Well, Steve Yzerman tells you the direction, and it's building the foundation. Last year, again, addressed the penalty kill in the power play. This year, more or less the same percentage in the goaltending, and to get it. And, we're talking about analytics and talking about all this different stuff. You got to combine both. Use numbers, but also the eyeball test.
Yep.
At the end of the day, Sean, I said to you, this is it. And I'm sorry, I can't convince anybody else. You're either you're in the way, you're on the program or whatever. But it has nothing to do with pedigree. It has nothing to do with record. You know why Steve Yzerman and the Detroit Red Wings will get back to glory or whatever, to the highest, no matter what it takes? It's because they'll outwork everybody else. What do I mean by that? It's Steve Yzerman and Chris Draper will watch more live hockey games than anybody around the world and see players that they want. So, the greatest part is he doesn't give a flying fuck what anybody else. It's his job. But tell me who is better equipped for getting this team back to glory, then why aren't you waiting? He's telling you, no, this is the way it has to be done. And you're like, but I don't want it done this way. Okay, it's not what you want. It's what's best for the organization. And the way he's doing it is the best. There's all little messages that he tells you when you look, right? A lot of the lack of movement we've addressed earlier in this offseason is because I believe that the talent that he has, he's ready to give them the opportunity. The Edvinsons, that's why the Gossphere moved, because you're going to plug Edvindson there. So, again, we got to wait and see. But I think that this team, if you, they're right where they're supposed to be. You brought up a great point, too. It's not a linear line of playoffs or but. For everybody that's going, well, they haven't made the playoffs and do anything else. I bring up the fact that, well, you had more wins than two playoff teams last year. It's not your fault that the rules are the way it is. But what is the way it is? You are still one of those teams that are either in or out, along with how many other teams? 8? There's 8 of you that are fighting for 4 spots because the Eastern Division and everybody else has just improved also. So, it's a great time to be a hockey fan, but it's just patience. And like I've said all along, it's still 3 or 4 years.
There are, I think what people keep forgetting too is there are other teams, believe it or not, that are trying to do the same thing that Steve Yzerman. I know that sounds crazy, okay? And I think there are 2 in the very division that are at least very close to where the Red Wings are at. And in Buffalo and in Montreal, that they've got a slew of young talent. They're doing the slow burn to get it going. So even when this is all said and done, there's no guarantee. I will echo what you said. For those of you that aren't aware, I was very fortunate to do broadcasts in the Ontario Hockey League for many years. I was fortunate to do broadcasts in the USHL for the WTP for many years. I was fortunate to do broadcasts at Michigan State. I saw Chris Draper literally everywhere. And I'm not just talking in our own backyard, okay? More on that in a second. If I was in Kitchener, wow, there's Chris Draper. If I was up watching that Spenny up in the Sioux, well, you are such a greyhound. You don't even know you're a greyhound. If I was up in the Sioux, I saw Chris Draper. Chris Draper did an interview a couple of years ago with you and I talking about how he knew every inch of the 401 from Windsor all the way up.
And if they didn't create that Waze app, he'd be lost.
And, oh, by the way, Steve Yzerman, when he was general manager of the Tampa Lightning, 2,500 miles away, I saw Steve Yzerman as much as any general manager in the home rink that I worked out of, formerly CompuWare Arena, which is now USA Hockey Arena. And this isn't like he's in the backyard. He's a general manager of the Tampa Lightning, for goodness sake. So I think that stuff counts for something. Scouting counts for something. I'm so glad that you brought up the analytics stuff. And Justin, I want to get your take on this, because I think more often than not what happens is people will sit back and go, well, you're not from the generation of analytics. I'm not saying throw the baby out with bathwater. I think analytics have a great place in the game today. Okay? I think I do. I'm not one to just dismiss them. I think the one thing that analytics forgets is if I'm looking at two players, okay? And I'm going to use Justin and Darren McCarty as an example. All right? Maybe Justin's analytics look better than McCarty's, okay? But you know what you can't quantify? You can't quantify when the puck goes in the corner and Justin goes into the corner with 6 eggs in his pocket and he comes out with 7 unbroken eggs in his pocket. You can't quantify that Darren McCarty goes into the corner with 6 eggs in his pocket and then comes out covered in yolk. There are things that you cannot quantify. There's the eye test that Darren brought up. Where's the engine? Where's the motor? This is a go guy. It is 45 minutes of hell when that guy's on the ice. Well, how do analytics measure that? How do they measure that? You can't measure that. So I think sometimes people have a tendency to overthink it a little bit. Young analytic Justin.
I completely agree. And there's someone on this Red Wings team I think it's kind of a bad rap, and it's Copp. I mean, they look at the $5.5 million contract, they look at the point production, and they compare it to other people around the league, but they don't understand what Copp's true value is. He is a plus defensive center who also will go into the corner and come out covered in yolk. And that is something that is lost on just people who just check the box score, check the stats. Like, that's just not a way that you can quantify hockey, because even just take Darren, for example. Darren in the NHL, his stats never popped off the screen. But like everyone knows in this town how integral Darren McCarty was to all of those Stanley Cup runs that the Red Wings have. And you can't quantify it by stats. You can't quantify him beating the shit out of Lemieux. Like, that's not a quantifiable stat. And that's integral to them winning. It's just, that's why when me and Flannel talk about hockey, it gets tough sometimes, because he's just trying to beat down stats to a pulp, and I'm just sitting there like, well, there's 80 other things that go into the subtleties of the game. And then one other thing I want to touch on, and it's the fact that Yzerman and Draper live around the juniors in the USNDDP scouting. It also has to be a factor that it's so convenient for them. They are in a true hotbed, the dead middle of all things youth hockey. They are in the best youth hockey state in the United States. The USNDP is down the road. They have 3 elite hockey universities in Michigan State, Michigan, and Western Michigan. And then they also have the OHL that completely surrounds them. Like, they are in such a talent hotbed. And yeah, they still would be there, but the fact that it's convenient and it costs less money to be there, I think has to play a factor.
But Justin, you just nailed it. Think about it yourself. When you have so many options and so many things to cover, how do you cover them all without being there? It's not like they're just covering one or the other. Yes, there is more of a convenience, but you also have to put the work in, right? Like you got to put the work in. I don't care if you're in Florida or you're in North Carolina, you're up north of Boyne. There's a lot of golf courses. But to play them all, you have to put the work in to play them all, not to just say, but you're going to end up playing 1 or 2 courses because I don't want to travel around. These guys hit every one. And yes, so it's like, you're supposed to utilize that to your advantage, but it's a fact of, I look at it more so of hours punched in. Like, it's gross. Who wants to watch that much hockey? I mean, it's gross.
I love it.
Be on the golf course or something.
That's exactly it. Hey, listen, I do want to get into something. I know we're way late. Sorry, Spenny.
No, it's fine.
Aqib Talib thinks highly of the Lions corners. We're going to get into that in just a moment. And I don't know if you guys ever watch Good Morning Football or that interests you in any way, shape, or form. Spenny, this is a curveball because I know I didn't tell you this, but Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football thinks that people outside of Detroit are sleeping on the Detroit Lions heading into this season. We'll get your thoughts on that. We'll talk about it as well. I'm Sean Baligian in for Neil Rule, taking a well-deserved vacation. Justin in the house. Of course, Spenny in the house. 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty in the house. Thanks for joining us here on Big D.
And let me tell you about KDK Law. If you're looking for child custody, divorce, or any other family issues, KDK Law is here to help. Kevin and Catherine have been helping out Birmingham for a long time. You need excellence on your side. That's exactly what KDK Law provides. Scan that QR code, screenshot this, show them, and they will cover your filing fee. It's KDK Law, and make sure you don't say that you're going to divorce your wife live on air like Flannel did. But if you do, KDK Law is the place you need to call. Kevin and Catherine will help you out.
Don't let her do you wrong.
Don't let her do you wrong.
So just to get the heated steering wheel, I also had the spring for the bigger rims.
Yeah, that's how they get you. Those upgrades will cost you an arm and a leg every time.
Hey, new car crew, how'd it go this weekend? I got a great deal on mine.
How?
I went to Randy Wise, not those other guys. They got me in a great new ride, and they didn't break my budget. Hey, could you pass me the sugar?
How?
Never mind.
He made the wise choice.
Yep.
Make the wise choice at randywisechevy.com.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Oh, that's me. Sorry about that. What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? Well, you expand and offer more products, more people. Exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC. Same great service the customers have come to know and trust. On Woodward Ave, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today at LesStanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
All right, so I was watching Good Morning Football, and they put this clip out of Kyle Brandt talking about the masses, not around here. I think we're all pretty realistic about the Lions, right? I think even those dudes that are waiting for their heart to be broken so they can say, I told you so, this franchise is never going to win, I think even those dudes have to be a little quiet after what transpired last year, okay? But I want to ask you guys out there and the guys in the room, he went as far as to say the Detroit Lions are being slept on. People nationally are sleeping on the Lions. Oh, it was a cute little story last year, blah, blah, blah. But we've moved on. Look at what the Chicago Bears have done. Look at the maturation of Jordan Love in real time last year. Ooh, those are things to get excited about. And I'm a firm believer. Like, I don't know when it happened, but way too many people are infatuated with what's next as opposed to what is, right? I'm of the opinion I think this window is open. I think this window is open for a few years. There's no guarantee there. okay? I'm not sitting here guaranteeing Super Bowl or anything like that because I go back to like 3-4 years ago. I think a lot of people thought that Josh Allen and what the Buffalo Bills had was going to guarantee something, and they've just been stagnant, okay? Make no mistake about it. The Lions have taken the next step. But from your guys' vantage point, Mac and Justin and Spenny, we'll start with you. Do you get the impression that the national media is maybe sleeping on the Detroit Lions a little bit?
I think they are, and I think it's based on what happened that we're legit now. Like, we remember last year, everybody was hyping us up. Everybody was talking about us because we were the cute team. We were the nice story to root for. And, oh, they haven't won a playoff game in 30 years. Oh, they've never won the North. Look at how cute Dan Campbell is, riling these guys up at practice. But now, when we beat your favorite team in the playoffs, when we beat the Los Angeles Rams in the playoffs, when we're toe-to-toe with the Niners in the NFC Championship game, it shakes the nerves of ESPN and big media to be like, oh shit, the Detroit Lions are actually a damn good football team and are probably going to have a Super Bowl parade in a couple years. So I think they're scared to see that the Lions are actually a juggernaut in the NFL and they're not just a cute team that, oh, look at that little guy, running around, kicking the ball, he's so cute. No, we're actually a problem for the Cowboys and the Niners and the Rams and the media darlings that they got to look out for the rugged Detroit Lions.
It's ridiculous that people even consider the fact that the Bears are even on the same level as us. I've seen it in the national media. Shout out Adam Rank. Like, I know he's pretty biased, but still, like, that is absolutely absurd. And then you want to talk about the Packers. I mean, we had a better offseason than the Packers. You can go to almost every skill position. No, not even skill position. Any position on the board. And we are better than the Packers on at least 80% of them. I went and I've looked. Roster spot for even the DBs, which is one of our biggest concerns this year, and we have a bunch of unprovens there. They have unprovens there as well. Eric Stokes has not played a full season in 3 years. And he's played 10 games, and he's your quarterback 2 for the Packers. Good luck with that. Like, I just don't see it. I think we are getting slept on. Like, everyone in Detroit knows that this team's a juggernaut and knows that we added. No one in the national media, except for maybe Louis Riddick, really understands how good this Lions team is going to be.
Mac, are you getting those vibes? Do you think people are sleeping on it?
I like it, dude. It was, I don't know, sleeping on it, disrespecting, not, taking it seriously. And here's the greatest thing, the self-awareness coming out of this is fuel. That's all this team needs.
Yep.
Is getting a little bit disrespected to stuff like this. Yeah, you hear all the pundits about the Packers and Chicago. And I agree, the NFC North is an up-and-coming division, and it's going to be a dogfight in this division coming through, but we are the belle of the ball. So that's cool, because this was sort of like our career, about being, sort of slept on a little bit or couldn't get it done or whatever like that, not that point. I believe that this is like, because for me, firmly, the Lions are the true America's team now, the beginning of it. So as this demise of this Cowboys into this season with everything's going on, contracts, this and that, I think that because Detroit comes into its own nationally, that throughout the season with what we expect to be true, right, they become America's team more, and then they start getting more of the respect. But no, they still got to prove it, and I think it's perfect for this group. Just like the training camp that they're doing is perfect for this group.
I hate the Bears. Have I ever mentioned that? I think I have a few times. I grew up in an era, Mac and I grew up in an era where the Bears were the measuring stick, okay? I watched with pure jealousy those Bears teams do the things that I wanted my team to do. Consistently be a contender. Eventually win a Super Bowl. Stay in the mix for many years. I know for many of you, your hatred is pure Packers, okay? But, Justin, you brought up the Bears. And I think the Bears are a perfect example of what I was just talking about, the whole infatuation with next, okay? I can be fair and sit back and say, I like a lot of what the Bears have done. I do. And the Bears are going to be a team to be reckoned with, I think, sooner rather than later. They have a rookie quarterback. Are you new to the National Football League? You know what the thing about rookie quarterbacks is? They do rookie quarterback things, okay? And I'm sorry, I'm not going to rely on a rookie quarterback to be the be-all, end-all, especially when you basically created a whole new team. And I think that's where the Chicago Bears are at right now. Both things can be true. I like what they've done. I think, look out. This might be a team to reckon with in the next couple of years. But I'm sorry, when you got a rookie quarterback, pardon me if I don't sit back and I'm not going to do that, okay? The Packers are legitimate, whether you guys want to admit it or not. I don't care. I still think the Lions are a better team, but I'd be lying if I said I don't have thoughts of what Jordan Love did on Thanksgiving dancing in my head. I'd be lying if I didn't say I don't have thoughts of Jordan Love looking as good as he did at times against Frisco in the playoff. But I still think the Detroit Lions are a better team. It almost reminds me of what we were just talking about with the Red Wings as well, okay? The Red Wings are going to be better. Maybe not at the level. I can't say that the Wings are at the level with the Lions, as I can't say the Wings are at the level of the Pistons or with the Tigers. But what you're talking about in the division, Mac, is the Packers are going to be a threat. And the Bears are going to be a threat. Maybe not this year as much as some people are apt to make them to be. Just the same in this division, okay? Montreal is going like this. Buffalo is going like this. Ottawa has the pieces. I'm still convinced there's something in the water there, and it's just never, ever going to happen. And, maybe some of those teams at the top, like Tampa, are ready to go like this, or Boston's ready to go like this. We're infatuated with the next as opposed to sitting back and saying, there's still a ceiling yet for this Lions team, man.
Oh, they're not there yet. Look at the young talent. Look at what we were talking about. You weren't here yesterday, but talking about the emergence and just the consistency out of camp over here on Jameson Williams and stuff like this. Amon-Ra, St. Browning slowing down. Who have we mentioned on offense this offseason? Sam Laporta. Remember him? Pro Bowl loading. Stuff like this. We haven't even really touched on the offense. And yet what they did yesterday in solidifying Taylor Decker, which is all part of the plan because it goes back to the end of the season meetings where Dan Campbell says, just be patient. We got you, bro. It's genuine. They're coming through and stuff like this. So they're building with all this and they're improving. This team isn't the best that they're going to be. They got a lot of guys that are getting better. And we got to see. We still, it's speculation on the improvement of the secondary, but we haven't seen it. I mean, that's the exciting part. And we got to enjoy this journey because it's taken so long to get here.
Amen. We'll get into the secondary in a second. As I mentioned, Aqib Talib is very high on the Lions secondary. I like what Dan Campbell said about the secondary. We'll get into that momentarily. How about Jared Goff behind both Tua and Jordan Love in the NFL Top 100 list? We'll get into that as well. Big D energy on a Wednesday here on Woodward Sports Network.
Yeah, and tell us about Randy West.
Yeah, you bet. How would you like to play the University of Michigan golf course with the one and only Braylon Edwards? The Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Register today. You could round off the foursome at woodwardsports.com or scan the code on the screen today. When it comes to your next car or truck, make the wise decision. Randy Wise Automotive.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down.
Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
The game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
Crispy Chicken and Pizza is taking over Metro Detroit. They just opened a location in Madison Heights, known for their delicious hand-battered, hand-breaded chicken, their delicious New York-style pizza, and the best biscuits in the biscuit game. So if you want to find one near you, go to Sorokis.com. Sorokis. Now that's crispy.
Nashville hot pizza. You brought it up, Justin. There's something about this like time 11 to 1. Like when I was doing the show with Joik and I'm sitting in with Mac now for Neil Rule. There's something about this because you're caught in that no man's land. You're like, all right, do I eat before the show? Do I eat before the show, like 10, 15? Nah, wait till after the show. And then about 11:30 hits and you're like, I got to stop talking about beef short ribs and pulled pork and things like that because you're just dying. You want to destroy something.
Yeah, you were killing me over here. I can't lie. I was running late this morning. Usually I grab like a muffin or something from Tim Hortons and eat it between the shows from 10 to 11. But today I was running late, wasn't able to do so, and then you started talking about that barbecue, and you had me salivating over here in this booth. Like you were making it sound so good, and I can tell you look like someone who can really rip a smoker.
What are you guys talking about? What are you guys?
Yeah, it must be nice.
I just see breakfast on the
Stanley
show.
Cup champion.
I thought this was the breakfast show. Big D Energy breakfast show.
All right, so the corner situation, we can talk about it until we're blue in the face, but I think, much like we were talking about earlier with Steve Yzerman, I think that Dan Campbell is a guy that's going to give you the answers. It might not be the answer you're looking for, but he's going to give you the answers. Likes what he's seen so far, but we have to see how ferocious they are, how they get after it, et cetera, But at the same time, let's be honest, when a guy like Aqib Talib, who knows a little something about the secondary, talks highly about what you have at your disposal, I think it counts for something. So Spenny
got my attention, like stuff that gets you out of your phone.
Yep.
Right, but that should be a thing. What are things? Top 5 things get you out of your phone.
Yep.
When a respected Super Bowl champion guy that's been around the game, and say what you want about the human being or whatever else besides it, when it comes to football acumen and they're talking about football, you have to listen, good or bad, just the same way as I'd want to hear from a veteran guy that's played, even if it's things I don't want to hear. I have to take it into information. So take heed if you haven't heard this yet.
All right, here's Aqib Talib on the Lions corner situation.
I can't wait to watch the Lions and Terry and Arnold, and mainly because Carlton Davis Jr. He has an NFL vet on the other side of him, and that's going to be a top tandem. I'm calling it right now, another one. They'll be a top tandem in the league as far as cornerbacks, just because Arnold is a ball hawk last year. Man, I think he had 5 or 6 interceptions in college. If you get interceptions in college, you get interceptions in the league, man. It always translates. And Carlton Davis I've always been a fan of Carlton Davis Jr. So
yeah,
I think that revamped secondary, man, add a guy to the trenches. The Lions going to do big things, and I think they cornerback tandem will be a huge part.
Here's a guy, Mac, to what you were just saying. He has no vested interest in talking this situation. This isn't being a homer. There's no lion ties there or anything like that, okay? This is a guy that knows a little something about the position that's talking that up. Okay, I'm all ears. No, don't get me wrong. We have to see it translate on the field. We can talk about this. This is a huge we don't know. We don't know. What I do know is this. I trust Brad Holmes. Do you? I don't know how you can't. And when a guy like Aqib Talib is saying stuff like that, yeah, it's worth a listen.
When he says, is there something jumped out to me right there? To when he's saying interceptions translate from college to pro, right? And he's saying Terry Arnold being a ball hawk or whatever. One thing to listen to. Carlton Davis brought his name up by name twice about legit. That's a size guy, and the fact that this could be a top tandem in the league. All right, yeah, but where's my popcorn? Where's my drink? Let's go. Where are we watching this game? I'm all eyes for it. Right now, everything else has to play. But Aqib Talib. I mean that's gets me excited. Yep. It gets me excited because, like you said, don't take it from somebody who maybe has vested interest in it.
I trust Brad Holmes. I'm gonna say that until I'm blue in the face, honestly. And if you don't yet, it isn't his fault. That's on you. and he realized that they had to be an upgrade. It was a massive change, let's be honest. But at the end of the day, I think his batting average is pretty good in regards to putting a circle around something and saying, we need to improve that. And there's no doubt about it. That unit has to be improved. Now, again, this is the time of year it's all talk. And tomorrow is August 1st. And we all know what happens in August. I've called it crazy month forever, okay? Because we've been taking in all this information about our football teams, right? We've been taking in all this information, and we're so close to actually kicking off and seeing real football that we let our imaginations get away from us. And all of a sudden, everybody suddenly improves by a game or two just by the mere chatter that is being tossed all around town. Well, it doesn't always work that way. And that's why, in the interest of being fair, just because we've been talking this up, that doesn't mean, Mac, that it's automatically going to be everything that we hoped it to be. And that's why August is crazy month. You can only talk so long. These guys are going to have to prove it on the football field, and Dan Campbell's the first guy to say it.
But listen, here's what you want, right? When you have national pundits overlooking you that haven't played the game or are on a national level like the Peter Schregers or stuff like that, there's one thing, they have their own. And then there's another thing when you hear a guy that has played going, hey, take a look at this. This is what I'm seeing. Hey, it's up to you to decide who you're going to vest your interest in.
All right, one more segment to go on a Wednesday. Ask a Big D-E. Anything you want. We'll get into this Goff behind Tua and Jordan stuff. I'm a big...
You're muted.
No, actually, no, you can't.
Now I can because I'm unmuted. But I just wanted to make this declaration one more time. I am taking applications if you would like to join the Ennis Rakestraw Jr. fan club. I am starting it. I am the founder, and we are aggressively pursuing applicants because that dude is a dog. When the pads came on, the dog came out, and I just love that man.
All right, one more segment. Don't go anywhere. Big D-E on Woodward Sports.
And let me tell you about Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone. You can work out in a judgment-free atmosphere. Over 50 Metro Detroit locations. Upgrade to the Black Card to get use of all the amenities like hydro massage, total body enhancement, and access to over 2,500 locations worldwide. Planet Fitness is the place to go. It's the place to be. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week, walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays during Ermanni Edwards, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that DMAC trusts. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.
What do you guys make of this whole situation with Goff being behind both Tua and Jordan Love in the NFL top 100? Like, for me,
sort of on brand for the NFL to disrespect your quarterback and what, like, you get sort of used to it. It's in a lack of a better term, it's a Chris Osgood thing, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, but all you got to know is that the guy, if you petition the guys in the building, that's not where they hold him. They play. This is their king, dude. So I mean, it's just on brand. It gets funnier as the more that he proves, the more that he does to whatever else. But it's sort of apropos. It's on brand.
I think there comes a point in time, and I'm a living example of that. Look, I'll tell you point blank. 3 years ago, I thought Jared Goff was a mental midget. I thought he was shot. I mean, after what happened his last time in L.A., I mean, guys, let's be honest, he was a mess.
But do you know that Spenny's the epitome of I've come around honestly, and he's proven it, and he's said that. We've watched Spenny now, saying that, they win a Super Bowl, I'm getting the tattoo. Yeah. Not making him bet it to get the tattoo, but Spenny's the first guy that, honestly, naturally has come around to the other side to live it, right, Spenny? Exactly what you're saying.
You have to. And here's the routine. I think both things are true. Okay? People argued with me 3 years ago that this was a struggling quarterback. He was. He wasn't taking a shot. He was a struggling quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Period. End of story. I can't. Both with the Rams and his first year here. And then, you know what? The other side of that has to be true. If you're one of those guys right now that you can't give the guy his flowers for what he's shown you in the last 2 years, it's not his fault anymore.
He had me in tears. He had me crying because the Detroit Lions did something I've never seen before in my life, and that's win a playoff game. I might have been, lubricated, but those were real tears. And I went on this mic and I said, Jared Goff is the greatest quarterback in Lions history, and Stick threw a fucking loop, because Stick, he's a big golf guy, and I was with you, Sean. I didn't believe he could get it done. I didn't believe he could. He obviously still has to win a Super Bowl, but I don't doubt that he can do that now. I don't doubt that he can go out there and he can beat anybody you put up against him. He's shown it. He's proven to me he's done more in 3 years than any quarterback for the Lions has done in my entire life.
I don't care if you don't think he's a star. Doesn't matter to me. That means nothing to me. And I know people get worked up. Mac, I like the way that you said it. It's on brand. Whatever. I don't give a crap. I know what I saw the last couple years, in particular last year. And if you're not seeing that, I'm going to repeat, that's not his fault. That's your fault. I mean, this is a guy that has proved the doubters, and in my mind, rightfully so, wrong by his play. Not talking about it, but actually going out there and proving it. So I'm not going to get worked up over it. And I think a lot of times these conversations devolve into trying to prop one guy up while crapping on the other guy. I like Tua. I like Jordan Love. That's good. Best of luck to both of them, except when you're playing the Lions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty cool with Jared Goff and what he has around him here. And that's so, to me, Mac, I don't get worked up over that. I just kind of, like you, I just shrug my shoulders and go, okay, cool, whatever. That sounds familiar. Listen, I couldn't give a crap if you put him out of the top 100.
Yeah.
You know what I care about? Get your cameras at the parade when the parade happens. Make sure your cameras are there, and we can all celebrate our less than quarterback. Just like Chris Osgood, which, by the way, Mac, sorry you were part of that team, and I mean no disrespect to Hank. Chris Osgood should have won the Conn Smythe Trophy in 2008. Period. End of story. I will go to my grave saying that.
But it's not on brand.
Yeah, seriously,
the disrespect on brand.
You guys don't beat Nashville without Chris Osgood.
Facts.
Period.
Facts.
Guy came in and saved it. Whatever. All right. So on brand. That's a perfect way to say it. All right. Any questions before we get out of here, Mac?
Not at all. We will see everybody live tomorrow. If you're in the Livonia area, we'll be at Premier Pet Supplies Alive. Spenny, you there? Whoa! Somebody bring the reeds.
I'll bring the reeds.
All right. Sounds good.
See you guys tomorrow.
Deuces. We're out.